Hi, I'm Priscilla McIntyre.
And I'm Brittany Bland.
And this little girl is Shiloh. She's our 2.5-year-old German Shepherd. She's pregnant right now, so we're expecting puppies from this one. We are doing Genesis chapter 2 today. So let's go ahead and read that.
All right, so we got our books here. For those of you who don't know, I'm using the NIV version of the Holy Bible. Chapter 2, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. So here we go. I'm going to start on verse 4 because last time we ended on verse 3. So, going to talk about Adam and Eve. This is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created, when the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. Now no shrub had yet appeared on the earth, and no plant had yet sprung up, for the Lord God had not seen rain on the earth, and there was no one to work the ground. But streams came up from the earth and watered the whole surface of the ground. Then the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. Now the Lord God had planted a garden in the east, in Eden, and there he put the man he had formed. The Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. A river watering the garden flowed from Eden. From there it was separated into 4 headwaters. The name of the first is the Pishon. Am I saying that right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. It winds through the entire land of Havilah, where there is gold. The gold of that land is good, aromatic resin, and onyx there also. The name of the second river is the Gihon. Mm-hmm. It winds through the entire land of Cush. The name of the third river is the Tigris. It runs along the east side of Asher. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. And the Lord God commanded the man, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die." The Lord God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." Now the Lord God had formed out of the ground all the wild animals and all the birds in the sky. He brought them to the man to see what he would name them. And whatever the man called each living creature, that was its name. So the man gave names to all the livestock, the birds in the sky, and all the wild animals. But for Adam, no suitable helper was found. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. And while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs and then closed up the place with flesh. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man. The man said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. That is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. Adam and his wife were both naked, and they felt no shame.
Right? So, Genesis 1 kind of gives us almost like a title, like a table of contents.
Yeah.
It kind of gives us a rundown of what's going to happen on each day. But then in Genesis 2, God kind of zooms in on mankind, his prized creation, and tells us, this is how I did this. And he starts talking about how there's nothing yet formed. And one of the things we get questioned about a lot is the difference between being formed and created. God created you and I and everybody else before the beginning of time, because the Bible tells us that he wrote the end in the beginning. But he didn't form you until you were conceived in your mother's womb. And then you were born and you began to form and grow into an adult. Just like Shiloh here's got puppies that are going to be due anytime. Well, I say anytime. They're going to be due in May. But those puppies were created at the beginning of time. But we're not going to see them until she has them that first week of May.
Right.
And then, it tells about how we can eat from any tree of the garden. Or, well, Adam and Eve could eat from any tree of the garden, except for the one in the center of the garden. It's kind of interesting how sin doesn't exist until God gives us a rule. And the moment God gave us the rule of not being able to eat in the center of the tree in the center of the garden, sin became possible. It's kind of awesome that at the end of time, sin is no longer possible again, because when we give ourselves to God in Jesus, although we know what's right and wrong, the same type of sin isn't wrong because we're no longer under the same law, we're under grace. And that's talked about in the book of Romans. We'll get into that, when we get there, but we're obviously at the beginning at the moment.
Mm-hmm. There was one thing I did want to point out, though. I think it's really cool. God created the birds and the animals and everything. And with the way the relationship was that time between God and man, he let Adam name them. Right. It's cool in the fact that in a way they both had, man and God had a hand in it together. And it's kind of like a dad, showing you how to ride a bike the first time. It's just kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, God says, it's not good for man to be alone. In verse 18, I will make a suitable helper for him. And this word helper, I actually love it. It's the word ezer. It's the exact same word that you see in Isaiah when it says, I lift my eyes up to the hills. Where does my help, my ezer, come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Which is good news for those people who tend to think that women are supposed to be submissive in the way of, we are supposed to be submissive, but we're supposed to be submissive as a man's supposed to be submissive to us. It's mutual submission.
Mutual respect.
Right. And anybody who tries to say that, no, she's supposed to do whatever he says, period. Well, is that what God's doing? Because we just pointed out that that's the same word that God uses for himself in helping man. So that's not quite the right theology if they're trying to tell you that. However, it goes on and it talks about, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. That is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united with his wife, and they become one flesh. Adam and his wife were both naked, and they felt no shame. One of the reasons why we believe so strongly that a marriage is between a man and a woman and not a woman and a woman or a man and a man is because it tells us here that we're supposed to be united as a man and woman. And even later here in the book of Noah, in Genesis 6 and 7, when we're talking about the ark, even the animals were called male and female onto the ark, a man and his mate. it's not even just humans, it's even in the animal kind.
Yeah.
Where God says, hey, look, this is what you're supposed to do. So God gives us an order right from the beginning, and I don't believe God makes mistakes. You?
No.
All right. So we're going to give you a little closer look at this dog because she's absolutely beautiful. So Miss Shiloh here. Give me, say hi. Here, can you? Come here, Shy. Come here. Good girl. Make it your treat, huh? It's your treat. Shiloh. Sit. That's good.
Oh.
Excited? Down. Now shake. No, sit. Shake. Good girl. You're a little excited today. Stay. Okay. Good girl. All right. You have a great day. God bless you.